Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing two different techniques. I'm going to be showing how to use these irregular bat glitters, and I'm going to show how to put them on and make them lay flat on the nail. I know that sometimes people struggle. I myself struggled as well until I saw somebody do this, and I figured I would share this hack with y'all. So I went ahead and I put the base color on two of the nails. And then what I like to do is I like to take, like, I guess a flexible surface, because if you use a hard surface, it's not going to push the glitters anywhere near as good as if you have a little bit of a flexible surface. So this flexible disc, this flexible plate, I guess is what it's called, it makes it very easy to do what I'm about to show you. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put some of the shards from the dip on the plate as well, so that I can put them onto the mani in the empty spots after I put the bats. So I just did two dips of the color, and now I'm going to show you how I curve the bats. So what I do is I take my water marbling tool, or I switch to tweezers in a minute, and I just push the bat in the center. So now I'm just going to pick it up and I'm going to show you the little bit of a curve. Camera wouldn't focus. The little bit of a curve I put on the bat so that it will lay over the nail. I like to do this because it makes the bat lay flat, because obviously nails are not a flat surface and you want them to be just a little bit curved. So as you see, I just push it in the center so that it is curved, and I'm going to go ahead and do a few of them. I do a few of the bats so that I have them ready after I put the dip base back on the nail. I'm ready to go ahead and place all of the bat glitters that I plan on using. I end up doing more because I wasn't quite sure how many I was going to use for each nail. So I started with these, and you can kind of see they're a little bit curved, and that's how you're going to want them. So now I'm going to put a layer of base. Dip base is what I'm using. You can use gel, and I'm going to do that in another video with leaves. So for this video we're doing bats, and I'm doing it only with dip powder. I'm doing a layer of base, more on the stick at the end if you stick around for the bloopers. More on the stick. I did include that at the end for y'all because everybody voted for bloopers. So there is one disaster that happened during the creation of this little tutorial video. So I just take the bats, and since I have them laying curved side up, I just take them and I put the curved side down so it will lay flat on the nail. And if you guys see how easy that was, you literally just place the bats on where you want them, and depending on the length of the dry time of your liquid, you can go ahead and leave them just sit there. So that's what I did with this one. The dry time isn't so long, but if you see the edges aren't really up, but I will show you a trick for this. So I went ahead and I know that the dry time for this liquid is a little bit more on this medium to slow, so I knew that I was going to have time to go ahead and do the other nail before I show you my extra trick, which is going to be with activator and a baggie. So I'm getting a couple of more bats because I wasn't sure how many I was going to use. I was going to put 5 on there because I think for some reason odd numbers look good on nails when I'm doing, like I usually do 1, 3, or 5, but one of my bats ended up being 2 bats, so it ends up being 6, and I guess it still looks alright. But anyway, I take the layer of base, do not a thick layer, but you want enough on there to be able to put the bats on and for them to stay. You want it to be all over the nail, not just in certain spots, just so that you can pick and choose where you want it to be and you don't have to keep reapplying the base. So I just decided I was going to do a few of them, and then I was like, okay, let me just add another one. And then I was like, okay, it's starting to look good, but for some reason I was like, I need just like one more bat, right? Because I was like, this kind of looks open. So then I grabbed this bat here, and this sucker ends up being 2 bats. I did not even think to separate them to see, but I already put it on, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to make it work. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So then after I get the bats kind of playing around where I want them, because you see how much time I have to just kind of mess around, and with gel you have even more time to play around with, but I knew the time wasn't unlimited, so I kind of got them where I wanted, so they kind of look like they're flying. Spoiler alert, this dip glows so bright. So you want to make sure you're getting all your pieces, all your bats where you want them, and then just kind of filling in any extra holes that you may see or notice with the extra pieces in the dip that didn't quite land where you wanted them to be. Because the more you have it, kind of look like, to me, it looked like the night sky with like different things in it, like different stars or different bugs or whatever have you when it glowed. So here's what we are looking like, and I have both of the nails done. So now is going to be time for the activator trick. So I saw a bunch of people do this, and I figured I would show y'all. But to start with, if you see, there is not a lot sticking up. It is pretty flat on the nail, but we still have to do activator to get the powder and the dip and all that to dry. So you're just going to take your regular activator, and then I'm using just a sandwich bag. Just a Ziploc sandwich bag. Some people like to use the thicker baggie because it doesn't stick as good. It doesn't stick as much to the nail. So what you do is you apply a generous layer of activator, and then you're going to want to wait about 5 or 10 seconds for it to dry. I usually give it about 5 seconds, and you see how stringy it is? You just kind of want to pat it a little bit, and then you'll notice the stringiness stops. And then whenever the stringiness stops, you're going to want to put the baggie on the nail. This is when you can press it more and press it down. So you see how flat that is? And then I like to do just a double check. So I'll put the baggie flat, and then I'll just rub my finger on the top of the nail and look at how flat that is now. I didn't even put a clear coat on top of here because y'all see how amazing it is looking. It is perfectly flat. Like, I literally just go in with top coat after this, and it is perfectly fine. I do a gel top coat, so I put a gel base and a gel top coat down. But if you wanted to, you could do a layer of clear over this or reactivate it and throw a top coat on, and it would be perfectly not bumpy. So now we're going to do the same thing with this other one. You apply a generous layer of activator, and then you're going to want to give it about 10 seconds to start to dry, between 5 and 10 seconds, but I don't do that. As you'll see, because I wanted to show y'all the stickiness, you'll see some of the strings come off like right there with the baggie. It just means it's a little bit too wet, and if you put the baggie all the way down, then it will move everything around. But once it gets to a good point, I just take the baggie and I just saran wrap it almost, and then I just push the glitters flat, because what's happening is now the activator is activating the dip base and the powder and everything, and it is allowing me to manipulate the glitters and push them down so that you can get a flat nail. Now I wanted to show y'all, look at how flat those bats laid down. They were straight, but they are curved perfectly to the nail. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a top coat on, and here's what we're looking like. Everything is perfectly flat, no sticking up, light lines are perfect, everything looks great. So that is the trick for the baggie and the activator to get the stuff to lay down. Now moving on to this next one. This is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be using jet black and blood splatter. So I went ahead and put the jet black on because we've all seen me do the dip powder regular. So the blood splatter is a white glow dip with red foils. Now, this is going to be a little bit hard for some people because what we want to do is we want the red foils to bleed. Now, I sometimes like the look of that depending on the mani that I'm going for or depending on the color that I'm using. But a lot of the time, we have tried so hard to not make the foils bleed. So I'm going to show you guys how I do this particular dip because I want them to bleed, but I don't want them to bleed completely. I want them to look kind of fleshy, which is weird, and this look is not for everybody, and I personally wouldn't wear it. I would not want my nails to bleed like that, but here is the trick. So we have our first layer down. So with the second layer, you usually want to just float the dip base over, but what you're gonna see me do after I fix the foils where I want them for the second dip is I drag the brush through the foils, and it looks like it's kind of spreading, and you want to do that to drag the color out to where it looks like it's splattering and it will kind of turn the nail a little bit of a different color. And make sure you're wiping your brush off in between putting it back in the bottle because you can contaminate the brush. Now I did my second dip and it already looks super, super cool. You want to make sure you're picking up enough foils to get the look that you're going for as well. This is how it looked just after 2 layers, not adding any additional foils. Now we're going to do the same thing with this one. You only want to pick up a couple of foils on your first layer because the second layer is where it really matters that you pick them up. So this is why I am doing so much playing around with the foils, because I really wanted to grab more on that second layer. So if you notice, I'm just dragging, like I'm putting a little bit of pressure and I'm dragging the dip base around the nail so that I have plenty, but I'm also dragging the color out of the foil so that it is kind of bleeding on the nail. So I've got 2 dips just regular, but I was like, I want a little bit more of the foils so that I can have that extra pop of just blood looking on there, because I mean, after all, these are for Halloween, 'tis the season. So this is just how to get that look, and then the glow, you'll have got to wait till the end to see the glow. So now I just put a little bit of dip base on there, and I'm just adding some foils on, and I just tap them down and spread them just a little bit, because if you tap and pull your finger like I just did, you can get a little bit of spreading from the foils, so they do bleed that way as well. So that's just a little tip. If you want to add more, just rub your finger on them instead of just patting. You want to rub a little bit and they will spread as well. But what's going to happen is at this point, if you wanted to just leave it, you would clear cap it and then you would put your activator on. But I decided that I wanted to have like that super gory look. And I'm sorry if this is too much for some of y'all. I totally needed to put a spoiler or a trigger warning, I guess, because it could look kind of wonky. I personally, this is not my style, but I wanted to help out Karen and show y'all how to make this look gory for those that really love that look. It turns out looking that way, so y'all might want to skip to the very, very end if you don't want to see that. So here's the activator. So with the activator, you want to drag the activator on there, and it changes the color a little bit to that super deep flesh color. Like sore flesh, hurting, like it looks hurt, I guess you could say. But here's what we're looking like. I'm gonna go ahead and top coat it, and then I'll show y'all what the final look is looking like. I hope y'all enjoy these tips and tricks. I hope you try both of them out and let me know if it works for y'all. And then here we go, as much requested. Look at what happened in the beginning of my video. I know y'all remember this part, right? So I told you I would leave it in for you, so here you go. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch y'all in the next video.